Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today is part one on Samuel Little. Samuel Little. There's a chance that Samuel Little is the most prolific serial killer that the United States has ever seen. At this point, he's been convicted of a couple of murders and confessed to a couple that they definitely know that he took part in. The FBI believes that he is the sole party who killed as many as an additional 68 women across his entire span of crimes over the years. He was active as a killer between 1970 and 1982, then 1989 to 2005. On top of what the FBI believes that Samuel Little has actually done, they know that he is definitely tied through DNA to up to 12 other murders on top of that, but he has yet to confess to those. Recently, Samuel Little has made the news, not just because he's a serial killer, but because he released a series of photos that he has made while in prison, along with a kind of like a breakdown biography of some of his crimes, and has given details to as many as 30 women and their disappearances, and along with the paintings. And it has hit the news. Several different affiliates across the United States, from Florida to California. Families have noticed similarities between some of the paintings that he has made of his victims and disappearances of loved ones. Now, in some cases, these people have been waiting 30 years to find out what happened to their loved one. And the paintings that he released are eerily similar to the actual known photos of these victims. Is he copying them off of the internet from memory and making the paintings? Or is he the actual killer himself? Well, the FBI believes him so far. They don't believe that he has anything to gain from confessing to all these murders. Notoriety is not going to get him anywhere. He's not going to get any special treatment. And at the age of 78, his health has been declining for several years. There isn't much out there that is going to be of a benefit to him. He knows that he's at the end of his life. And is he confessing to this because he wants to clear his conscience and make good on his promise that he was going to do this eventually? Now, the following states are looking closely at and following what the FBI is able to find and him able to tell them. Now, a lot of these murders, he painted a picture, he gave a partial confession to, and he told them how he did it. Most of his victims were strangled. There are a couple confirmed ones where he strangled and stabbed the victim to death. A lot of his victims, predominantly, he would take these victims to a wooded area or an area that was out just adjacent to town, places that were known for drug addicts to frequent, and he would dump the bodies there. So in a lot of cases, originally, these people were not necessarily, deemed as murdered. They looked like they were drug addicts because that's what he looked for. His victimology. The victimology is he looked for runaways, prostitutes, drug addicts, those with emotional issues. Maybe they just broke up with a boyfriend. Maybe they were in an abusive relationship, and he would find them. A lot of them he found in the seedier parts of town where prostitutes and homeless would gather. And he So most of them didn't necessarily have a missing person report filed right away. Early information about Samuel Little. Besides that, he did pick up boxing while in prison. He considered himself a contender at one point, and according to his boxing record, amateur boxing record, he actually wasn't that bad of a boxer. He did have some skills, but he preferred the life on the streets and partying to boxing, so that never really went anywhere. He was born June 7th, 1940, in Reynolds, Georgia, into an extreme poverty. His mother was a prostitute. His biological father is not known. There are several men who have been rumored, and from his own statements over the years, he said were his father. But none of that has ever been confirmed, and nor is anybody really going to look into it too far. They know his mother was a prostitute. They know that he grew up in extreme poverty. At an early age, his mother moved to Lorain, Ohio, and he started to live there with his grandmother around, his mother around, and some extended family. So he had somewhat of a support network, but it didn't help. Crime was his calling, and from an early age on, he started to steal things and to get a couple bucks in his pocket. And sometimes he did these crimes, petty crimes, but he did them just because he was bored. He didn't have any reason to do it. He moved in with his grandmother eventually, because she was unable to take care for a child, let alone any children, because she was a prostitute, and she was busy doing that instead of raising any children at all. So Samuel Little didn't really have much of the love and compassion and support. He did have a family around, but nobody that really cared about him growing up. His crimes were getting more severe. He broke into a department store in the early 70s. Ended up having to do a couple years in the federal penitentiary. And instead of going out there, and putting his life together and going on the right track, he knew that was not going to happen with Samuel Little. He went out there and started right back to where he was almost immediately. The fact is, the day he was released from prison, he may have actually killed that day after he was released on his burglary charge from the department stores. According to the FBI again, Samuel Little may be the most prolific serial killer that we have ever seen. And he was right there in front of the FBI for years. The first time, according to them, he came up on their radar as a possible serial killer in connection with multiple bodies that have been dumped into the woods in nearby areas just outside of town where drug addicts frequented. His name came up as a person of interest in 1983. That was when he first came up. How many victims did he have after 1983? We don't know. We know there are 58 that he may very well be connected to. And that number could climb as high as 110 before this is all over with. With his ailing health, he has given partial interviews here and there with the FBI and the state police, but he's not going to really give them everything at this point. It's kind of like a vendetta now with him. It's like, you should have talked to me 30 years ago when I wanted to talk to you then. But Now, why are you interested now? In the media, you will see several families who believe that reports that several families believe that the paintings that he has done are eerily similar to their missing loved ones. And right now, the FBI is just hoping to give closure to those families because not all of Samuel Little's victims have been found. The 12 that he is positively known to have killed, of those 12, 5 of them have never been found. So if he did dump them in the same similar fashion, nobody knows where they are. So thank you for stopping by for part 1. Part 2 will be coming up here in a couple of days. And in part 2, we will be taking a look at his profile, the victimology, and some of the close encounters that he had with law enforcement where he was almost caught. You stay safe out there.